And good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning to all of you out there. My name is Ken, and this is Casual Coffee with Ken, a special Ken in the Kitchen episode. And first of all, I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Hope you did something fun. I took last week off from doing the show because I wanted to kind of plan my recipes out a little bit further out and a little bit more deliberately. And so I've done that. And I am going to try to start cooking a little healthier, but not today. Today is not that day. No, not by any stretch of the imagination. Today's recipe is going to be, in fact, decidedly not healthy, but it should be very, very tasty. I am excited to see what this is going to taste like. It's got a great title, actually. It's called Fettuccine with mushroom, ham, and rose sauce. This is another recipe I got from allrecipes.com. So as always, I'll post the link to the actual recipe down below. I think the only thing that I didn't include that's in the original recipe is basil, because we're not a fan of basil. So I didn't add it, but you certainly can if you would like. If you're new here to the show, I can see your comments in my monitor. Let me know that you're watching, say hi, and I would love to know where in the world you're watching from, because that's part of the fun of doing a live stream, is just getting to talk to people from quite literally everywhere around the world. It's great. I love it. So anyway, let's go ahead and we will get started. Let's go over to the food prep area. And we've got some quite a variety here of ingredients, as you might very well notice. So amongst our ingredients that we're using today, we've got obviously fettuccine pasta. We've got a 1/4 cup of butter, salted butter. We've got 1/2 cup of finely diced onion and 3 cloves of garlic minced, and I did all this in my little mini food processor and just put it all together and chopped it up so that the garlic was evenly distributed throughout the onion. And then we've got a pound, more or less, of sliced mushrooms that have been rinsed and dried. We have 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. No basil, because no basil, don't like basil. 2 teaspoons of dried parsley. Now, I kind of messed up and got something called semi-dried parsley. So I'm only using 1 teaspoon of this because I have heard that fresh spices are stronger than dried spices. So I didn't want it to be overwhelmingly parsley flavored. We're also going to use some 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper in this recipe. And then we've got 6 slices of ham, and I just did a rough chop on the ham. I think there probably were more envisioning like cubes of ham. And when I got this at the deli, I just had them slice it like I normally would, which is lunch meat for sandwiches, which I did not do, which I'm not doing with this. So I don't know, I could have done that better is what I'm saying. We've got 1 1/2 cups of heavy cream for this delightful rose sauce. And then a cup of spaghetti sauce. I didn't make the spaghetti sauce. I went ahead and used this, the Sonoma Gourmet Plum Tomato Marinara, because it sounded wonderful. So yeah, that's pretty much the ingredients for this thing here. So at this point, I've already boiled my water and my noodles. So we're going to kind of move things over to the pan. Turn heat on here, and we're going to melt the butter in there. And once that starts to melt, then we will start adding the rest of the ingredients for the sauce. I got to remember our stove runs hot, so I have to be careful to not turn the heat up too far because I don't want to burn the garlic in the onions, because that would not be good. So yeah, this is, as with all the recipes on this show, this is the first time I've ever cooked this. All the recipes I do on here, I'm doing for the very first time on camera with you guys. So, because basically I do this because I'm trying to teach myself how to cook so I can cook more, because Karina, my wife, does all of the cooking, really. And she's very good at it. She makes amazing food, which is why my pants are starting to get too small. And it's wonderful. And I've always just done the cleaning, so now I'm trying to teach myself how to cook because I want to be able to cook nice meals for her, because she's done that for us for a long time. So, all right, let's take a look at our butter. Our butter is starting to melt here. It's looking fine. Can I just say how much I love the smell of garlic and onion? There's never enough garlic. Sorry, there's just not. You might disagree, and that's fine. It's fine to be wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I know garlic is, everyone has feelings. There's no one that's middle of the road, I don't think, about garlic. Either love it or you're kind of not really for it. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll add in the garlic and the onions. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit here, because it says over medium heat. So let's go ahead and kick up the heat just a little bit here. Oh, this is going to be, I can already tell this is going to be an amazing sauce. It says, as far as cooking the onion in the recipe, it says cook until softened. Not sure what softened means, but we'll see. Softened, they say. I don't understand people who don't like tomatoes and tomato sauce. Tomato sauce is the best thing. Tomatoes are the best thing. Marinara is the best thing. It's wonderful. I don't understand how you can dislike such a tasty and important flavor. All right, that is starting to heat up quite nicely now. I think I'm going to do the next step, which is to add in the oregano and the parsley. So I'll put those in. And after that's had a little bit of time to come together, oh boy, it smells good in here. Wow. Okay, I have to remember I like the smell of oregano too when it's cooking. So I've got that all mixed in now. I can go ahead and start adding in the mushrooms. And it's my understanding that mushrooms cook down quite a bit, so they're not going to, it's not going to be as full of a pan as it seems initially. So that's going to cook down pretty well. And it says to cook this until the liquid from the mushrooms has evaporated. I'm not sure what that means. I'm really unsure what that means. So until the liquid from the mushrooms has evaporated. I mean, I did rinse my mushrooms, but I dried them off too with a paper towel. So I'm not sure. How do you tell when the liquid from the mushrooms is gone? They don't say that. Let's take a look here. I guess when they've shrunk a bit, is that how you tell that the water is gone from your mushrooms? Maybe that's what it means. I'm so worried about burning the garlic that I'm probably moving stuff around a little more than I need to. This is going to be really good when it's done. I can already tell this is going to be good. And then it looks like we're going to, after the mushrooms have cooked down a little bit, that's when we add in the ham. And then we cook for about 5 minutes, it says, with the ham. It seems overall like kind of an easy recipe, and I do that on purpose because, one, I'm just learning how to cook, so I don't want to, try a cordon bleu recipe of any sort right out the gate, because I'm sure I would just mangle it horribly. But two, I do that so that if you're in my situation and you're just trying to teach yourself how to cook, these recipes hopefully will seem a little more accessible to you. And really, they don't. I try to stay away from recipes that call for a lot of fancy ingredients because money's tight for everybody right now, and just availability of ingredients can be tricky even still. So okay, I just added the ham in there. And it says you want to cook this for about 5 minutes. So for this instance, I'm going to actually set a timer. All right, so 5 minutes on the clock. You can't see that very well. Okay, doesn't matter. And then, man, that's a lot of butter in this sauce, isn't it? So I think the idea, whoops, I lost one. Get back in there. I think the idea for this is that the ham is going to crisp up a little and provide somewhat of a textural counterpoint to the pasta itself. Could be. Again, if you're just joining, I can see your comments in the in my monitor here, so say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I can't wait to add the heavy cream to this. I mean, what could go wrong with a sauce that has heavy cream on it? And then we're going to eventually end up reducing this, the finished sauce by a third, it says. And if you've recently started cooking for yourself, how do you like it? Are you happy with what you've learned so far? Do you feel like you're doing a good job, that you're learning valuable skills, or are you feeling constantly frustrated? Because so far so good, although I might actually prefer baking. There's a lot of eyeballing with cooking, and I really like exact measurements. I don't know. I guess it can be fun to have a little bit more freedom to just add and subtract things as you want, rather than because obviously with baking you can't do that. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I love watching these cooking shows like America's Worst Cooks or whatever type things where they're baking something and they decide that they can just eyeball the measurements for the flour and what have you. It's just like, no, even I know better than that. Hi, watching from Nairobi, Kenya. Your food looks delicious. Well, thank you, Mama B. Thank you very much. It smells great, and if it looks good, that's 2 out of 3. Hopefully, it's going to taste okay when all is said and done. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm happy to see you here. What kind of experience do you have with cooking? Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Because I'm finding I'm really actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. I guess I was always intimidated by the idea of cooking. Um, and now that I've actually started and I've been looking for recipes and planning these shows out, I don't really understand why I felt that way. Because it's not technically hard. Some of the individual skills, I think, can be. Like my knife skills are horrible, and I know it would take a lot of dedicated practice to get to the point where I was as good with a knife as Alton Brown or Gordon Ramsay or any of those food gods, you know. But the actual cooking itself isn't really as difficult as I thought it was. You've got the recipe, so it just tells you what to do. If you follow the recipe, usually you're going to have at least an end product that tastes pretty good. Might not look exactly like the pictures in the cookbooks, but you know. All right, so we're just about done with this section. So now we're going to pour in the heavy cream and then bring it to a boil, it says. So, all right, here we go. In goes the heavy cream. Yeah, I hear you. There we go. Oh, heavy cream. There's nothing that heavy cream can't make better. My mom always fusses about how I cook, so I took a back seat in cooking at home. I'm also learning. Backseat cooking. Oh, Mom, that's no fun. I get it. I think it's our natural uh, instinct, I guess, if we're a person that knows a lot about a subject and we're watching others learn their way, we just want to jump in and try to help, even though it comes off as not helpful sometimes. So we just have to let this come up to a boil. So that's what I'm going to do. And our stove, I don't know about you, Mama B, but our stove runs hot. It's amazing how quick the burners on this thing they get crazy hot, crazy quick. And our oven runs about 25 degrees hotter than what the dial says. So if I'm baking something and it calls for a 350 oven Fahrenheit, I have to remember that I need to put it to 325 on our dial. That took me a little bit of getting used to, but believe me, you only forget that a couple of times because the results are not great. I'm glad that you're also learning too. How is your access to ingredients right now? Because I know a lot of places at the beginning of the pandemic were having issues with getting you know, basic supplies in, not just, toilet tissue and stuff like that, but there was kind of a run on food for a while, at least here in Reno, Nevada. It was hard to find meat for a while, and eggs. I remember, oh man, I couldn't get eggs for a long time. All right, so this is boiling now, and it says that I'm supposed to start slowly adding in the tomato sauce. Ah, so I splatter stuff and mixing it in. So let's try to do this slowly. Ah, I'm making such a mess. It's splattering everywhere. That's okay. It's starting to look like a seafood dish in a way, like one of those, what do they call them? Pan roasts, oyster pan roasts. Okay, so I'm not going to reduce the heat because you're supposed to cook it at a high enough heat that the sauce actually reduces by a third, so it's thick and creamy. And now I'm also supposed to add in the crushed red pepper flakes gradually. And really, this recipe comes together very quick. I mean, if I wasn't doing this for an audience and trying to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it, it would go by really quick. So just know that it's taking me a bit, but when you go to do this yourself, since you're not going to be narrating to an audience, this dish will come together fairly quickly. Strangely, it's only recently that we've run out of mushrooms. That's how I came across your live. Oh, neat. I mean, not neat that you have run out of mushrooms, but neat that that's how you found me. That's awesome. Okay. I am going to grab a lid because this is much more bubbly than I meant it to be. Oh my gosh. I have made a mess for myself. That's okay. That's what cooking's all about. You make a delicious mess, hopefully, at the end of all of it. So we're going to let that cook for just a little bit. And then once it's reduced and is thickened up considerably, then I will go ahead and add it to my pasta, which I cooked before the show because I didn't want to completely bore my audience with watching noodles boil. Let's make sure that the noodles actually are okay. Because I pre-cooked them and just kind of let them sit, these noodles are overcooked. So don't do that when you do this. But that's what happens when you're trying to figure out timing on a show. That's okay, because I'm going to have leftovers of this and I will cook a proper batch of al dente noodles later on. That's okay. Yeah, I could have done that better. Makes me a little mad at myself. That's okay. We learn by doing. Let's take a look here and see how this is coming along. That looks good, doesn't it? It smells amazing. I wish you could smell how good this smells. The oregano is quite prevalent in the smell. So I'm wondering if this recipe calls for a little too much oregano. I don't know. It's really, I mean, even more than the garlic and the onion, I can smell the oregano in this. That's crazy. Crazy, crazy. It's almost like smells like a pizza joint, which nothing wrong with that because pizza's always good. All right. Starting to reduce there. I can kind of see like a little line here from where it started, I think. We'll let that go for just a little bit longer. Thanks for hanging in here with me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I overcooked my noodles. That's dumb. That's okay. That is fine. I will make a properly cooked batch of noodles a little bit later when I make this again for Karina, because she's going to love this. I can feel it. Oh, this is going to be so good. Let me go ahead actually and get a plate out. And I can get some of these noodles put on a plate anyway for the final bit of presentation. And I'm not draining the noodles particularly because I want the starch in the pasta water to help the sauce adhere to the noodles. All right. I think this is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down a little. And then, yeah, I think that's looking good there. So it says to cook until the sauce is thick. Let's see. I mean, that's pretty good, I think. Right? I mean, because it's not just instantly falling off the spatula. Oh my god, I just slopped it over the edge. Rich color, yeah. It really does remind me of the shrimp or oyster pan roast that I get at a local restaurant here called the Oyster Bar. Those mushrooms have really cooked down. Okay, so let that go, but I'm going to take a little bit of this out of the pan. And put it over the noodles here. All right, so let's go back over here. Get rid of the stray mushroom there, and let's have a look here, shall we? That looks pretty good to me. I know the sauce is probably going to taste amazing, even though I completely messed up on the noodles. Oh, here. Let me adjust the autofocus here. Because look at that. That looks pretty darn good to me. Definitely see the mushrooms and everything. I'm actually pretty happy with this, I think. I'm going to, of course, continue to, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let me get a fork and I'll let you know. What it tastes like, and hopefully you know what this is missing right out of the gate, I think, is Parmesan cheese. But that's okay. We'll give it a shot as is. Mmm. Okay, I am happy to report that it does not overwhelmingly taste of oregano. I really was worried about that because it smelled so much like oregano. Post a picture of your dish on Twitter before you eat. That's a good idea. Why don't I do that right now, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Thank you. That's really good advice, actually. So let me go ahead and take a quick picture here. Yeah. The mess. But so good. I am not a consummate photographer, but it'll do. This looks good. All right. All right, so a couple of things I would do a little different. It definitely needs some salt, so I'm going to add some salt right now. Not a lot. And this is just my preference. I am weird. I love salt on everything. Yeah, I am all about the salt. So I'll put a little bit of salt on there, and I think this could use a little bit of Parmesan. But the flavor is good. And of course, I overcooked the noodles. You can taste the red pepper flakes, and it's not bad. It's not like it's not an overwhelming, spiciness. It's you take a bite, you swallow it, and then there's a little bit of heat in the back of your throat, but it's good. Mushrooms came out great, and you can taste the garlic and the onion is good. This is good. I've been letting the sauce continue to simmer over here. And I think when I go to do this a little bit later, it's going to be even better because I think those flavors are going to continue to intensify as the longer that it cooks. So yeah, I am pleased. I am really happy with this. This is a good dish. So yeah, a little bit of Parmesan cheese or, the cheese of your choice. But cheese is always a good thing on pasta. This is good. This is a really tasty dish. And if you're not doing it for an audience, this all comes together very quickly. So I will post the link up on the description if you're watching on YouTube or on my Facebook. You can just search for Casual Coffee with Ken on YouTube and you'll see the links and everything. All my social media is on there. I will post the picture in a few minutes to Twitter, but that's it. I really, I'm going to call this a win. I like it. I'm going to make this again. This is going to go into the slowly growing book of recipes that I can do, that I can cook for Karina. So very excited about this. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, Mama B. I really appreciate you being here today. This is fun. Use catchphrases like quick and easy pasta dish. Okay, I will do that. I will definitely put that in the description as well. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This was fun for me. I'm glad to say I know someone in Nairobi now. That's fantastic. I love it. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time here in Reno, Nevada. So take care of yourself and, keep me up to date with any recipes that you're trying out. And since you're new to this as I am, and yeah, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, share with your friends, and I will see you back here on Wednesday. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you then. Take care of yourself.